Hello, my name is Deja Matthews, and I am here to discuss my teacher-assigned pioneer assignment. My educational pioneer is Jerome Seymour Bruner. Jerome Bruner was an American psychologist, educationist, and writer. He developed theories concerning perception, learning, and memory, scaffolding theory, spiraling curriculum, and other aspects of cognitive development. Bruner was born October 1st, 1915 in New York City. He attended New York University School of Law, Duke University, and Harvard University. He was born to Polish-Jewish immigrants Herman and Rose Bruner. Herman was a watch manufacturer. During his childhood, Jerome was born blind due to congenital cataracts. An operation at age 2 restored his vision, but Jerome's dad died when he was just 12 years old. Jerome was educated and earned the Bachelor of the Arts degree in psychology in 1937 from Duke University. He earned a master's degree in psychology in 1939, and he earned his doctorate in psychology in 1941 from Harvard University. He was married 3 times. His first wife, Catherine from 1940 to 1956. After they were divorced, he married his second wife, Blanche Marshall McLean, and was married to her from 1960 to 1984. After his second divorce, he married his third wife, Carol Fisher Feldman, and they were married from 1987 to 2006, when she passed away. His lifelong partner after that was Eleanor Fox. He has 2 children, Whitney and Jane, from his first marriage to Catherine Frost. Bruner was employed as a psychology professor of Harvard University, and later a university professor emeritus at New York University Law School. As an educational psychologist, Bruner had a strong influence on the American educational system. He helped launch the field of cognitive psychology, and after serving as an expert on psychological warfare for the U.S. Army during World War II, Bruner returned to Harvard in 1945, becoming professor of psychology there. From 1960 to 1972, he also directed the university's Center for Cognitive Studies. He left Harvard to become professor of experimental psychology at the University of Oxford from 1972 to 1980. Later, he taught the New York for Schools Research, New York City, and at the New York University School of Law. Bruner's theory of development is also known as the constructivist approach. He developed a social science curriculum that was widely used during the 1960s and 70s. Bruner was the leader of the cognitive revolution that ended the reign of behaviorism in American psychological research and put cognition at the center of the field. He received his PhD from Harvard in 1941 and returned to lecture at Harvard again in 1945 after serving in the U.S. Army's Intelligence Corps. Some of Bruner's major works include The Mandate from People of 1944, A Study of Thinking in 1956, On Knowing Essays of the Left Hand in 1962, Toward a Theory of Instruction in 1966, Processes of Cognitive Growth, Infancy in 1968, The Relevance of Education in 1971, Communication as Language in 1982, Child's Talk in 1983, Actual Minds, Possible Worlds in 1986, Acts of Meaning of 1990, The Culture of Education in 1996, Minding the Law in 2000, and Making Stories, Law, Literature, and Life of 2002. Pioneers that influenced Jerome Bruner include Sigmund Freud, Jean Piaget, and Lev Vygotsky. Bruner's studies helped to introduce Jean Piaget's concept of developmental stages of cognitive into the classroom. In the 1980s, in Actual Minds, Possible Worlds, Bruner examined the work of Sigmund Freud, Jean Piaget, and Lev Vygotsky. From Freud, he took an emphasis on relatively neglected areas such as motivation and intuition. Bruner's thinking became increasingly influenced by writers like Lev Vygotsky, and he began to be critical of the intrapersonal focus that he had taken and the lack of attention paid to social and political context. In the early 1970s, Bruner left Harvard to teach for several years at the University of Oxford. Bruner's late life and death. Jerome S. Bruner spent the rest of his life trying to understand how the human mind perceives the world, leading to influential advances in education and the development of the field of cognitive psychology. He died June 5, 2016 at his home in New York City. He was 100 years old. His influence on current teaching practices. Bruner believed that when children start to learn new concepts, they need help from teachers and other adults in the form of active support. His learning theory has direct implications for teaching practices. Here are some of the implications. First, instruction must be appropriate to the level of the learners. Second, the teacher must revisit the material to enhance knowledge, building on pre-taught areas to grasp the full formal concept was of paramount importance. He believed that a teacher should feel free to reintroduce vocabulary, grammar points, and other topics now and then to push the students to deeper comprehension and longer retention. Third, he believed that the material must be presented in a sequence, giving the learners the opportunity to A. Acquire and construct knowledge, and B. Transform and transfer the learning. Next, he believed that students should be involved in using their prior experiences as structures to learn new knowledge. Further, he believed that teachers should help students to categorize new information to be able to see similarities and differences between items. He further believed that teachers should assist learners in building their knowledge. This assistance should fade away as it becomes unnecessary as a child develops. And finally, Bruner believed that teachers should provide feedback that is directed toward intrinsic motivation. He believed that grades and competition are not helpful in the learning process. Bruner states that learners must experience success and failure, not as a reward and punishment, but as information. Bruner's famous quote, "Learners are encouraged to discover facts and relationships for themselves." Second, the foundations of any subject may be taught to anybody at any age in some form. Third, Bruner stated, understanding something in one way does not preclude understanding in other ways. And finally, He truly believed that the essence of creativity is figuring out how to use what you already know in order to go beyond what you already think. Thank you for listening to my presentation on the Pioneer Assignment concerning Jerome Seymour Bruner. As you can see, the next few pages contain the bibliography in APA format. Thank you. This is the first page of the bibliography written in APA format. And this is the final page of the bibliography for my Pioneer Assignment, Jerome Seymour Bruner. Thank you.